Hi, and welcome back to StoryDads. We are featuring on our 50th episode today one of our original fans and listeners, subscribers, and a story mom, Kaitlyn Drew. And she is here to tell us about one of her favorite films growing up, and that is Disney's Mulan. Join us.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Story Dads. Micah, this is episode 50, and this is a special episode. We talked about getting episode 50 for a long time.
Yeah, episode 50 puts us, I think, officially in like the top 2 to 5% of podcasts ever made. They never make it this far. They don't say how well you make it this far, just that you make
it doesn't mean your
far.
podcast is good. But
no, it just means it refuses to die. And what's, I think, super appropriate about this episode and our guest is here we are at 50, outlasting so many podcasts. And Kaitlyn, I think you have been with us since just about the beginning.
Sure have.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Story Dads, we're 50 episodes in. We have maybe like 12 to 20 fans. Kaitlyn counts as 2 of them. Kaitlyn is a great friend, married to one of my best buddies, Garrett, who I've known since middle school. Her and my wife are great friends. And we, more than anyone else I know, break down Story Dads episodes. She'll take a listen to one and tell me stupid takes we have. We'll have interesting conversations about the stuff. And I've said a bunch. And for listening members in the audience, this is an invitation to do that too. We love talking about this stuff. We just think it's fun. We like nerding out. And Kaitlyn, some of the conversations we've had around that have been a blast. And so I'm excited to have you on to talk about a movie that you have loved and have selected for this episode.
I love this movie. I'm so honored to be on this episode, especially now that I know it was 50.
Yeah.
And your first story mom, which is very
That's
cool.
right.
Moms. Yeah, we have gotten a handful of takes where like my wife and Kaitlyn have told me, you know, like that's such a dude's perspective on this thing. Like you guys need to balance it out a little bit. And yes, we do have dudes' perspectives, and that is often what we bring to the table here. And I'm excited to get some new ideas, especially with this story. I think Mulan lends itself really well to having a story mom on.
Before we jump in, I have some questions about your experience. My perception is that most Disney space, kid space, parenting space is very mom coded.
Which is
probably
so
because
interesting.
it's
because most of the moms are not relevant or like prevalent in the stories. Like most of the Disney princesses have lost their mother during childbirth or have been taken from their mother, or like the mom is just not a part of these stories.
Yeah. Interesting. And so, what are some off the top of your head that represent that?
What do you mean?
Like some of the stories specifically that off the top of your head that are examples of
moms
that,
are conspicuously absent.
Well, so Cinderella, right? She's raised, or her mother passes away.
Yeah,
and
she's
then
dead
she
off
has
camera.
A stepmother.
Yeah.
Mother Gothel, she took Rapunzel away from her mother and is raising her as her daughter. Ariel, there's zero mention of her mom.
Yeah. We don't even know, did she come out of an egg? Like, where did Ariel even come
how
from?
How did she come from?
Yeah. The archetype of the good mother, we've talked a lot about, like we did Tangled episode a couple episodes back, like the devouring mother, the evil stepmother, the where mothering goes bad archetype. Where are the examples of the good mother, the nurturing mother, the one who succeeds?
So the one that comes to mind first is Brave, because that whole story is about the relationship.
That's a good one.
A mother
We got
and
to
a daughter.
Yeah.
So we like that one a lot. It's also kind of hard, like as a mom of a daughter, I know that time is coming when she's going to push back and we're going to really clash. You know, my husband and I talk about it, how he's going to have to come in. And then I've also told Jill that she's got to be the auntie to come in and help soothe that relationship at some point.
Yeah.
She can be
the
good cop to your bad cop.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. When I think about these stories, often the father is also dead or missing, but not always. Frequently they're like involved, but sort of like incapable or aloof or removed in some way. And the archetype of the good mother seems to be like on the other side of the adventure, you know, like and Brave is an example of that. Like once, like they have to go through something in order to get to this mother, and same with like Tangled, which we recently did. Like in order to get away from the toxic, you know, adopted mother, she's got to go through this adventure to reconnect with whatever this like benevolent mother figure is. I know we're not talking about that today, but it's coming up. But
Yeah, I'm having so many questions. Whatever. We'll go down this sidetrack. What's your take on the mom?
You're gonna
thing?
have to come back. You're gonna have to come back for break. I think we should do that.
Okay.
Or we should just do like a whole mom stretch or whatever too.
Yeah.
But Frozen 2, they do the mom thing real heavy in that, and I don't like it. It's weird in that one.
Yeah. Frozen 2 misses on a lot of, you know.
But
today,
but Frozen 2 is the only one where I texted Eric and I was like, your take on Elsa on that one was so bad, because this poor woman, she is being raised in a household as like, these are the things you have to do and you cannot feel a single thing or you will destroy us all. And then Anna is just running around the castle with her little bike talking to the paintings. It's like, okay, that's like classic first daughter, second daughter.
You had a really good
I was so mad at that one. I was like, she should go away to a commune and enjoy her power.
That's good. I love that.
Someone's
we'll
got to
do
be
a redux
responsible. Like,
on
hey,
some of
keep
these.
taking care of you losers the whole time. Everyone's
Totally. And she comes in and saves the day all the time.
Yeah. With just a kingdom full of ingrates. They just want free ice toys all the time.
Yes, all the time.
Okay, but today we're talking about so I was asking about like the kid story space seems to be somewhat female coded, and that is odd because moms are so often removed in the stories. But I'm curious for you, you know, having like guys, I don't know if it's just like super non-masculine of us to sit around and talk about kids stories. Like, that's fine. I'm comfortable with that. But is it interesting? Is it weird? Is it jarring? Like, what is it? How has your relationship been with just listening to a couple of dudes dude out about stuff that is, you know, potentially outside of their bailiwick or what have you?
I love it, but I think it's because it's how I was raised. So my family would sit around the dinner table and we would dissect stories and we would talk about what's going on in the world. And it was like a time when you could really talk about what was going on. And my brother, he's a very brilliant man. And he and I have debated the Ariel story since I think it came out. Because he thinks that she's just the best and she goes off and does what she wants to do. And my mom on the other side was like, oh, she defied tradition. She went against what her dad had to say. Like, these are all bad things. So we have been debating that story in our family for forever.
Yeah.
So it feels very natural to sit and listen to you guys, especially because Eric and I have been talking about stories since they moved up here.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And you know what that brings to mind to me is how important story is. And how important a good story is, because if Ariel was this sort of blank Mary Sue, well, of course she's good kind of character, that debate doesn't exist. You don't get to have that. And then it also doesn't inform with as much depth the lives of the people that follow Ariel's story. And that walking that line between, you know, tossing tradition and being reckless, and, you know, how much of it needs to be tossed, how much of it needs to be embraced. And like that's a timeless, important conversation that we get to have because they made that movie like with integrity around her character and that conflict. So yeah, I love that. Well, cool. Tell us about the movie. Sorry, Eric, I'm kind of like driving because I can't help myself.
Do it.
Tell me to.
I love this. This is great. I love getting into this stuff in two minds that I've talked to a bunch about this stuff.
Well, I'm also like cripplingly extroverted, so I talk before. Just tell me to shut up when I need to. But please, anyway, Kaitlyn, tell us about the movie that you picked today to talk about.
Okay, I picked Mulan. I picked it because this movie came out when my sister and I were in middle school. And I think we watched it every day after school for a full year straight. It's a Chinese legend about a woman who goes to war in her dad's place. She dresses up as a man and basically saves all of China. So what about that type of story wouldn't you love? So that's why I chose it.
Awesome. Were you watching it on VHS?
Absolutely.
Yes. I think that's the way I first encountered it too. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. So what are some of the things, like, do you and your sister, do you guys still quote it, or does it still emerge? Like, what are some of the things that still pop up?
Basically any line that Mushu uses, because Eddie Murphy I think he did a great job as that side character. It felt like it was coming off the tails of The Genie, where we were getting into this. Side characters are funny and they're more relevant to the story or to this day and age, and bringing some of those things in. I think one of the things that my sister and I talk about a lot is like, if we're going into an interview or something where like you just need to be powerful, they're like, go kick the other kids' butts. Exactly what Mushu says. Yeah. I don't want to kick the other kids' butts.
Yeah, I love that. I was actually thinking about his not cameo, but his supporting role in this as well is like, and had the same parallel with Aladdin and with Robin Williams, and thinking how like so much of that movie was built around Robin Williams in a way that almost dates it or risks dating it. And Eddie Murphy's performance like slips so perfectly into the story but still maintains his character, and he's not awesome, like he's insignificant and weak, and he's like sort of the outcast, like crappy little family god that's gotta, and but he's so
doing
fun
his job
in that.
terribly.
But he's persistent, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna work my way back. But they even give him a little like character arc where at the beginning it's like, well, you got demoted. They didn't say what it is, but like you did something stupid where now you don't get to be up here with everyone else, and you got to like earn your way back. So he's motivated in his like blundering to try to work his way back.
Yeah, and he's so tastefully like insinuated into the team and the story, and then lends, you know, one of the things. So I was trying to look up the origin of the tale of Mulan, and you know, the piety for your family, like this familial honor and respect, is so integral to her motivation in the first place. Like she you know, she isn't motivated to go and sort of sneak into this masculine world because she's like dissatisfied with the patriarchy or whatever, or to like prove herself. She's trying to save her father out of a place of honor and respect and love for her family, and which I think, and you know, you sent us some notes, so I don't want to get ahead. Like you really have piloted, I think, the structure of this conversation for me, but let's talk about that a little bit, unless I'm skipping ahead what you wanted to talk about, like Mulan's motivations and what kind of drew her in and what makes that inviting.
Well, okay, so part of that is, well, the one thing I love that Disney did about her character in general is that she's not a tomboy. She's not super masculine and feels like she can go do this. She's an awkward character just from start to finish. She's awkward as a woman. She's awkward as a man. She's awkward constantly. Yeah. And she's not going in because she's like, I can do this. She's literally leaving her family to save her dad. And the honor that she has for her family and trying to like keep everything normal for them is just really impressive. Like as American audiences, a lot of our motivation comes from trying to do something for ourselves, and hers is totally for her dad. Well, her whole family, but mostly for her dad, because he's walking with a limp, and he's being conscripted into the military, and we don't know if he's going to be on the front lines or if he's
well, because the tradition was the tradition it's coming from is we need one man from every family to go. There's no sons in the family, so it's got to be the father. Well, the father's old. He's got a gimp. He's going to get slaughtered out there. So, like, what am I going to do? Either let him go or I'm going to step up. And there's no ideal solution here. It's kind of you said, like, she's awkward. She doesn't totally fit perfectly into either world here. And so, which I think is really what makes her character interesting. But she's doing it from a place of, said, like, trying to honor her family. She's trying to serve. She's trying to figure out what the right thing to do is. Not from, like you said, not from a place of trying to better herself, or I feel like if it was a modern story, it would be this very self-actualization. Where do I fit? Where should I be? Where's my place in all of this? Versus like, this is what needs to be done. And I'm not perfectly suited for it, but like, I'll answer the call.
Which is kind of what she does in the you know, feminine marriage space in the opening sequence. Is she's like, I don't want to do this either. Like, I don't want to go and dress up and go to the matchmaker, but this is I'm being invited into, so I'm going to dress up in a costume. And we talked about, I don't know if you saw our episode on Robin Hood and on the trickster hero archetype, but this is sort of what she's finding herself thrust into.
Mulan's kind of a trickster there.
I have to shapeshift because I'm in a place where I kind of don't know who I am, and there's external forces that want to tell me, you know, convenient things to fit into, but I'll do what's necessary. And that's sort of what the trickster often winds up doing. And then even Mushu does some shape shifting. And so the fact that she, you know, gets for her patron deity this little shape shifting dragon, and a dragon is already kind of a trickster because it's not a bird, it's not a snake, it's not a, you know, alligator, it's not a dog, it's like sort of everything, you know. And so she gets her little trickster team together, and then is invited into another costume where she's got to, like, all right, I guess I got to play, boy, I got to play soldier.
The only time she really
yeah.
deviates from that is in the middle of the I'll make a man out of you, where the captain's going to send her home. And like the story could have ended there. She could have taken the horse. She could have gone back home. Nobody would have been the wiser. But she was like, no, I want to get to the top of that pole and I'm going to do it. And I think that's where you see that's her character. That's who she is to her core, is she can do it and she wants to do it. But she does it in the dark when nobody's watching and she does it her way.
Right. Yeah, doesn't she? She gets the cloth, right? And she finds a way to shimmy up it with like a lineman's belt.
Yeah, something like that. Like the weights.
Oh, yeah.
You're supposed to be able to, but she ties it around and uses that to get up the pole.
And you know what's awesome about that is I was just talking to my kid about Marcus Aurelius. That's what happens at our ridiculous table. He's almost 8, so it's time.
It's time. We're gonna do the Emperor's Handbook next this week. Yeah.
That's right. He says the impediment becomes the way. Is one of his quotes in that a friend of mine loves and pointed out, kept it close by ever since. But like those weights were a part of another one of the trials that she was not succeeding in.
Yes.
And so she takes her failures and then uses them in order to create her success. And so she's able to leverage the unique abilities she has. And what does she say in the song where she's like, when they're talking about the girls back home, a girl worth fighting for, and she's like,
oh yeah,
how about
a girl who's strong and speaks her mind.
Always speaks her mind. Yeah, and there she is. She has a brain, and she's working towards speaking her mind. She gets there with the captain, where she's saying like, no, like this is what's going on with the Mongols, and so we get to see her realizing that she is a girl worth fighting for, and also able to do the fighting for what she cares about as her father. And then, one of the things we've talked about is in the expansion, the stakes in the hero's journey, it always starts with like a small ambition, like a small goal, saving dad, saving your village. Right. And then at some point, usually around the midpoint, it rolls over into something grand. And so at about halfway through this movie, we realize like, oh, it's not actually about saving her dad. It's about saving everything.
Right.
It's not about even saving she saves, what's his name? The captain.
The Emperor? Oh, Shang?
Yeah. Captain Shang. She saves him too, right? So so it's not even about saving the prospective boyfriend. It's like, it's going to be about saving the whole world.
It's the Emperor. It's the city.
Right.
It's all of China, right?
Yeah.
Which like that, the fractal. It's the fractal that scales up. Well, but it's you start with the local. You start with, you answer the call to like do my family duty. I need to protect my father, right? So I'll show up and do that, and I'll see where that adventure leads me. Well, where does it lead you? It leads you to the giant mountain where all the Huns are coming at you, and I got to figure out how to shoot off the firework. And in doing that, I end up saving my captain and figure, well, where does that lead you? Well, that leads you to realizing they're still coming, and now we have to, in Act 3, end up in the Emperor's palace, and the assault is about to happen. We gotta up in the stakes every time.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so
I did have one note, because real quick before we move on, I did have one note on the "Girl Worth Fighting For" song. We kind of noted it on one of the episodes. I forget the song we were talking about, but all the things the guys are saying the girls worth fighting for, it's about like what their women can provide them. Like a girl worth fighting for is someone who's gonna like feed me my dinner and give me what I want, and I can put my feet up, and that's a girl worth fighting for, right? It's all this very like adolescent dweeb mentality that these guys are in all of that. And it was in Princess and the Frog where they're doing If I Was Human. Well, I would just go back to doing the same thing I was doing before, where I could just party and do all, like, there's no like I need to grow, I need to better myself for. And I think it fits well for that middle point of the movie, where like those characters all kind of need to learn to grow up and be something more, because it shows that mentality they're in. I'm not sure if you guys have thoughts on that one.
That song ends like, that's a funny song. It's like we're seeing all the humor from that, and it ends right as they come over to the crest into the destruction of the military. To go help. It's like very cut.
Yeah, really beautiful contrast between like sort of the and it's like Hakuna Matata lands in the middle of that movie when they're doing the dumb escapist thing that really isn't going to lead them to their their goal. And so, yeah, the soldiers have this sort of juvenile adolescent fantasy of what being a soldier is. And then like, boom, confronted with the reality of it, just like they're going to be confronted with, later on, we'll get there in the story. But when they need to adapt in the way that Mulan has adapted in order to save the kingdom, which I think is like super fun. But anyway, I wanted to revisit that idea, like that she's not a tomboy. And was that part of the appeal of that character for your sister and yourself? Were you guys tomboys? Like, or what was your relationship to that?
We weren't. We played all the sports. We played outside. We loved everything. But we weren't really tomboys, and we loved to dress up and all of those things. But it was just nice to see somebody like, and it coming out when we're in middle school, when we're awkward anyways, to see an awkward character was just very refreshing.
Yeah, I love that. And she is really, like, she's awkward in every way. And it is,
yes,
adolescence is just the worst. And I think it's even worse. It's even worse for girls.
But she's not an adolescent, technically. Right. She's a woman. And so seeing like, okay, I'm an awkward adolescent and I'm watching an awkward woman, it's going to be okay.
Right. Okay. It's going to be okay.
That's good.
Awesome. Yeah. And so the fun thing, and so we talked about how, so many of the conversations around Mulan really kind of stop at the place where she cross-dresses. Mm-hmm. And like, it's really, to me, it seems kind of incidental to the development of the character and everything. It just happens to be the context in which her character develops. It's like a means to an end for her, like, because she isn't tomboy. She isn't trying to,
way, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is very Shakespearean, and there is a strong tradition in theatrical storytelling of like, hey, we're gonna play with these norms, we're gonna play with these identities, not because that's not what Twelfth Night is entirely about. It's just the context into which we're going to play with these ideas. And so what's fun about this is that it is not pleasant. Like, it's not like she dresses as a man. I'm like, oh, stuff's awesome when you're a man. Like, like, no, like, it's extremely
These guys are gross. They're stinky. I don't want to be around these losers. Like,
they're rude. They're uncouth.
She's horrified by some of their hygiene. It's great.
Absolutely. Which I think when, siblings that have siblings of the opposite sex, you're really used to that. Or if you live in a close-knit family that has, both sexes in it, then you get to see plenty of that. That dad stinks and he's grosser than mom, and like generally. And so it's fun. And then
my brother also, he complains about like all the hair that's all over the bathroom and all of the hair products all over the bathroom, and it like gets goopy, like it's back and forth.
Yes, that's so true. I was a janitor in one of my first early jobs, and cleaning the women's restroom was not my favorite, right? Yes. But so it goes both ways, where like there's all kinds of ridiculous inconveniences and discomforts and all that. And then what's fun is when we get to the end, the climax where, they have to storm the palace. Mm-hmm. Suddenly these soldiers are forced to grow up. And I think that, for a man, part of what growing up requires is being able to integrate yourself in a meaningful way with the feminine, because you got to live with a wife, man. And you don't get to do it like you did when you were single and when you were an adolescent that fantasized about just like the girl back home is really just your mom. She just cleans up after you and makes you food. Like, that's not the way it is. And so they do this awesome job of physicalizing it by making all these guys dress up like courtesans, like not just any women. It's like, no, you got to get dolled up. And and the fact that they bring the song back. Yeah, the full thing. And
they do it. They do it with the "Be a Man" song, bringing that back.
And "Be a Man," and like to be a man, sometimes you gotta have coconut boobs and get in there, and so I love it that they play with it lightly instead of taking it dead damn serious. That like we're gonna confront gender norms, and it's like just play, like just have fun. So I don't know. That's my soapbox. What are your thoughts on that? How did that, how do those moments?
That's exactly what I thought. I really appreciated that Disney didn't go like, these are the gender norms, and they played with it from the beginning to the very end. And they did it very tastefully.
I feel like 1998 was like it was just easy to do that. You could go in, you could play with that, you could throw out these ideas, and it could just be fun. And I feel like maybe not as much 2026, but if this movie was made like 5 years ago, I didn't see the remake. Maybe they did there, but it'd be very easy for it to be a heavy-handed statement about gender and nonconformity and what this means. And it's just like all that. It's not. I don't know. It would lose its gravitas around that. Yet something about this, Micah, you brought it up when they reprise "Be a Man" song as the guys are getting dolled up. It's like there's something kind of awesome and fun about that.
We're going to take a little break from our wonderful discussion about Mulan with Story Mom, Kaitlyn, and invite you to subscribe, like, leave us a comment. All right? Thanks. Back to the show.
And not in a way where like we're destroying gender norms, whatever. Just like, okay, like you're going to go because what they're doing is like, they're putting on a disguise. They're doing the shape-shifting thing where they're going to get up and they're going to sneak into the palace because it's being overrun by the Huns who are going to slit the emperor's throat. Time to do what it takes to go defend China here.
Which I think is what they learn from Mulan. And I think it's something that, frankly, in a lot of ways, every single mom knows. By the time you become a mom, you recognize, like, sometimes you just do what it takes. You know, like childbirth is where it starts. Like, I guess let's do this, right? Yeah, and it doesn't stop, right? Yeah, and feel free to interrupt, say more about that. But I mean, it's like, it's boogers. It's, you know, the most ridiculous messes to clean up. It's like the most ridiculous feelings to deal with. What comes to mind is like the pieta, you know? It's like sometimes what is necessary is to take your child and put them out into the world so they can be crucified, you know? Like if you're the divine mother. And so there's this thing that they get from Mulan, which is, okay, let's do what's necessary. They even climb the pole, I think, with her.
Yep, the way she does it. Yeah.
What are some? You had an outline of some stuff that you wanted to.
Well, I want to get, because one of the things you noted was about Shan Yu as a villain. I want to get into with him. Say more about that, because I feel like he gets overlooked in a lot of ways, but he wasn't on my radar as like top bad guy. So yeah, give us your take.
Okay. He is such a small character in this movie, but he defines the whole movie, because you know that he's coming at some point to take care of all of China, or take all of China with him.
Yeah.
But if you, from the very beginning, like, he's the first thing that pops down onto the wall of China, and he is just a terrifying human. Like, he is sallow, he is out to here, he's huge. And the minute the soldier sees him, he's like freaking out. So you know he's a bad guy. But
it's also a good contrast.
Fast forward to when we see like a real scene with him. He's in touch with the land. He's smelling the pine. He's like, okay, this is where they're coming from. He finds the doll. He takes the doll back to his team, and he's like, what do you see? So you can tell that he's teaching them and coaching them so that if he falls, the other 5 of them are going to take what they've learned and can continue on this path that he's going down, which is just terrifying.
So he's virtuous in, like, he's not just brute strength. He embodies brute strength, but he's smart, he's intuitive, and he knows to pass that on. So it's not just about him, right? So he's a good leader.
It's not just about him. It's about the movement. It's not about him as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a really smart character. And then the one thing that when he pops out of the snow, you're just like, oh my gosh, this guy can't be killed.
Zombie.
He's a zombie. But the one thing I loved about him the most is he's on top of the roof with Mulan, and she throws a shoe at him, and he turns around to look at her, and he's like, at first, you don't know if he thinks she's a threat or not, but then she pulls her hair up, and then he's like, the soldier from the mountains. And he does not bat an eye that she's a woman. He's like, you are the threat to my whole existence.
I know a threat when I see it. I'm not going to discount it, because
And it's not about gender.
Yeah,
so,
that's great.
So I think he's one of the best bad guys.
Yeah, and you have totally illuminated this for me. I've always liked him as a bad guy, but never like honed in on these qualities. And I think, what's coming to mind is the like completely indefatigable, completely without like prejudice in a good or bad way. Like he will kill women, he will kill children, He will, he's like, it's a child's toy, no emotion. Like and to have him educating his force, where it's like, it's almost like a force of nature, where it's like, this is a flood coming. This is not something that is a movement that's going to live and die on one.
Well, I'm calculated. Leader. I'm organized.
Yeah.
I will do what it takes in order to shred my enemies. Yes. I think of like the brutality of like a Joseph Stalin, who is organized, and if you get in my way, I will shoot you and I will throw my own son in jail. I don't care.
And the climax of that is the scene where you see him up on the top of the mountain and you're like, okay, something's going to happen. And then you see his entire force, like ants, just coming down. Like the sheer terror of that would be insane.
That's
and like a flood. And where he's different than Joseph Stalin is Stalin was insanely egotistical and egomaniacal and was the center of his movement. And so that was what took him out. And when you see a bad guy like this, it's like, well, you're not going to trip him up with ego. Like, where's the weak spot? How do you?
And he doesn't seem to have one.
Right. And he also embodies that thing that Mulan is seeking to embody, which is to do what is necessary.
Yeah, that persistence is a foil to
and so in a way, we talked about the idea of water as well as like water heroes and stuff. Is that water, like Moses and other water heroes and Moana, like it takes the shape of its container, of its vessel, and it's also kind of relentless and indefatigable. Like the water just keeps coming, and usually that's the good guy. And in this one, the bad guy is like water. He takes any shape. He comes relentlessly. And then, like you pointed out, literally pours down the mountain at them.
Yeah.
And it is snow. It is actually using water against him that counters him, interestingly.
I did like what you said at the beginning, because he doesn't get a lot of screen time. So it's easy to like kind of miss or ignore him, but he just kind of like looms over everything. It was one of our early episodes, but I think back to when we did the Jungle Book and talked about Shere Khan. Another villain who doesn't get a lot of screen time, but he just kind of looms over. There's this like, Shere Khan's coming. You got to watch out, Mowgli. Like this thing is there, and he's, different story. He's got his bravado, but like the looming gravitas of this character, you get him in little glimpses, but you see his cunning and his power and his strength and his like all the things that make him a scary villain.
And he just looks scary.
He's so well designed. And
I thought there was something about making him like animal companion there with a villain. So he's kind of but there is something about even the character design of like the big tough commander guy as a foil to like the Mulan, who's playing a man in order to fit in there. So she's not going to be the biggest, strongest guy. So she has no chance against him if they're going a brute strength battle, which again fits his character well.
Yeah. And then the other thing about this picture is that at the end, the resolution is that people become more settled in themselves and who they are for having gone through this journey of, necessity and exploration. And so like the male soldiers all come out of it as better people. They are less judgmental and less expecting of like a juvenile impersonation of a woman in their life. They come away with a more integrated view of both masculinity and femininity. And then Mulan as well. It's not like she goes like, great, well, I just get to keep my dream career of being a military captain. She's like,
at the end, she invites Shang to dinner. Like that's the final thing. Is she?
Well, and the emperor gave her a spot on. Like he was like, you can take this guy's job. What?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I want to go home.
Yeah. And she brings this authority and this integration and this adventure and brings it back home, which is also the hero's journey. As you bring the medicine or the antidote back to your village at the end of the journey. So she brings this, and it is actually a divine antidote that she brings home, because it heals the community of her gods. Like, so it like heals her lineage in a way, right? Like, because Mushu comes home and there's like this generational celebration that she's returned with all this honor. And so it's interesting. There aren't a whole lot of Disney movies that do sort of touch on the supernatural ramifications of the adventure that just had. And so this one has spiritual generational repercussions. Hunchback of Notre Dame has a little bit of that, where it's like, hey, we're talking about like divinity here.
Yeah.
Hercules has got some of that. And so it's very cool the way they do that. And that, the emperor, who represents this sort of, eternal wisdom, says to Shang, like, hey, your idea of what you need in terms of having significance in the world is also misaligned. Like, get out of here and go chase that girl.
Get her. Yeah.
But that's the thing that I quote from this movie all the time, is that the flower that blooms in adversity is the most beautiful, or whatever his quote is there at the end,
Beautiful of all.
But Shang doesn't get it. He's like, what?
Yeah, he's like, huh? And he's like, girl doesn't like that. Doesn't come along every dynasty, right? So so he goes and does the right thing as well, which is like, go home, instead of having temporal significance, go home and have spiritual significance, which is like, find a good mate, raise a family, like perpetuate your family gods,
not about that necessarily, but it reminded me, because everybody applauded Frozen as being the first Disney movie that wasn't about a woman trying to find a man. And my sister and I were like, Mulan, like 20 years ago, why is she not being applauded? Because her whole thing is it's for her dad and her family and honor. And the captain is a nice addition to that. It's not about their relationship.
Right. Yeah. And she, in a way, it's almost like a parallel. It's like an Eastern virtue parallel to Cinderella. Because, like, really, and I think the same comment could apply to Cinderella. Cinderella's not looking for the prince. She's busy doing what's right the best she can, and the prince comes along. Right. Yeah, and so Mulan is like, I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to do what's necessary and what's good and true. And then this prince comes along and goes, well, you're amazing, but I agree. Like, that, nothing about Mulan, even in the marketing or anything, is like, go out there and find yourself, a handsome soldier.
I mean, it's hardly even a side plot. It's real, like, but it doesn't even, it fits. It's not hamstrung in there. Like, at the end, there's a lot of movies that were made kind of throughout the 90s where it's just like, the guy gets the girl at the end, or the couple hooks up.
Wedge it in there.
Yeah, well, because we got to have that somewhere in there, whether it fits the story or not. And oftentimes, like, okay, it's not out of place, but it's like not really the thing. This feels like the natural extension of how the denouement of the story should go when it wraps up. Like, when it comes together, like, Shang realizes there's something more than just like military success that, like, I need to go pursue, and the emperor kind of nudges him in that direction. And Mulan also has her character arc is she's finding her confidence and her authority and working through her awkwardness. Like, a relationship starts forming out of that, and these people are both equipped for that, and they're really a way that just makes sense and works.
So, Kaitlyn, what are your how many kids do you have, and what who are they?
2. I have a girl, she's 8, Eve, and my son Ward is 6.
What relationship do they have with this movie?
So we watched it a couple of months ago, and they thought it was just the best. They thought Mushu was hilarious. They enjoyed all of the military part of it. They thought the music was phenomenal, because who doesn't think it's one of the best? Yeah, it's not.
Okay, so they dig it.
They loved it. They haven't asked to watch it since then, but they really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Do you ever feel that pressure to, like, want your kids to love the movies that you loved, like, in the same way? Like,
yeah,
I 100% do. Yeah.
I think we all do. Yeah. But I learned my lesson about that with Ratatouille, because my husband and I both love Ratatouille, and both my kids, every time we asked to watch it, they would say absolutely not. And I finally sat down with them face to face, and I was like, why do you hate this movie so much? And my son, with like tears streaming down his eyes, is like, because he gets separated from his family at the very beginning. And I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of terrifying. We don't have to watch it.
Yeah, we'll wait till you're into food more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
so there are little things that they take away that, like, getting separated from his family is such a small part of the movie, but that was so big for them.
Yeah,
there's this moment that go for it,
my son and I, we were watching The Princess Bride. Now, that was obviously that was a crucible, because if my son comes away from the experience actively disliking The Princess Bride, then, like, we're going to have to put him up for adoption, and, like, it's going to be like, it's just going to be logistically difficult, but
it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot.
It's going to be hard.
But
how did he do with the ROUSs?
Okay, so we got to the ROUSs,
Okay.
and I warned him, like, hey, like, there's gonna be these things come out, but like they're guys in suits, like, you know, and you'll be able to kind of tell if you look for it, like it's gonna be okay. And because I thought he was gonna be kind of scared of giant rats.
Yeah.
Well, Wesley kills it, and my son bursts into tears, and I pause it, and I'm like, are you okay? Like, it's just pretend. And he's like, why did he have to kill the mouse? Like, he loved it. He's like, I don't want him to kill that animal. And I was like, no, he was trying to eat him. And he's like, but he didn't have to kill it. I was like, okay, well, did not see that.
He knows his dad's a hunter, right?
I was like, bro, you asked to watch like deer cleaning videos. Like, he's like, let me see them gut the deer, you know? And I'm like, so you're cool with that, but you can't kill an ROUS? It's like, I don't know. He had the flu at the time, so maybe, you know, who knows?
Those big feelings. Yeah.
But yeah. Well, awesome. So have we missed anything from your notes that you really wanted to talk about with this movie?
Well, I kind of wanted to nerd out with both of you.
Montages.
Yeah, let's get into the montages.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one, and it always gives me chills, but that beginning montage when she's going to make her decision to go, it's a song with no lyrics.
Yeah.
And it pulls every emotion out of you because you can see her, she's sad about her dad being conscripted, and she just met the matchmaker, and that was horrible. She's outside crying, and she sees her parents like having a discussion, and then they make up, and then they go to bed, and then this whole decision happens, and then she's out the door. But it's like 2 minutes, and you see the whole movie shifting.
Yeah.
And it's just, I thought it was really powerful. And then again,
these
with
training
the I'll Make a Man Out
montages,
of
you can't beat them, man. They're so good.
So good.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
something about this era of filmmaking. I know it's like something like that kind of becomes a thing and then it just starts popping up everywhere. But like the intense driving music that comes up where it also captures the emotion, and Mulan does it really well. I'm sure there's tons of other like these training
it was
montages.
like
It was such a thing.
It was like an artifact. It was like, and what about the montage? Because if you have a movie, clearly you will have one.
You have to have one.
And,
Yeah.
And this one has a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that one.
Like, ooh,
and then there's the other one, which is the, what's the other primary montage you're thinking of? Because you said it has a couple.
That was the first one. The second one was the I'll Make a Man Out of You song. And that obviously has lyrics. But she goes into, that starts with her just
It's a
flopping
training
and
montage,
changing.
man. Yeah.
And then at the very end, she's just crushing everybody. But she's doing it in her way versus like, this is how a man should do it. She's like, well, but I'm not a man, but I'm still going to succeed as a woman.
She's not doing it through brute strength. She's doing it through ingenuity. She's doing it through creativity. She's doing it through relational instincts, all the reasons that make her good. Yeah.
And then the third one is when they dress up as women. But the Captain Shang comes in, and that's when you see his military defenses are dropping, and he's like, well, I have to learn in order to beat the enemy.
Yeah. And you know, what's neat about this, to nerd out about the history, is that and this happens almost to every like major developed world power that confronts one of these other challenging powers, is they come with unconventional warfare, and your conventional methods don't work. And so even on again, that like fractal idea, like at a societal level, like everybody needs to adapt to these new challenges with the sort of fluidity that Mulan is able to introduce. And so because she has willingly put herself in a place where she, you know, we talk about that phrase, like, do what's necessary, is like, she's not looking at the means by which she must scale the pole. She just knows one way or another, I have to get up there. And
I got to get up that damn pole.
There's another movie where I think
one way or another
they cut the pole down. I don't know if it's like Starship Troopers. I'm trying to think of like, there's another scenario from another film where it's another one of these things where it's like, you got to get outside the box. And so when someone says, touch the top of that pole, hey, there's a million ways to do that. And even in real life, the Olympic or like track and field with the high jump, used to be running and jumping over it, like staying upright. And then at some point someone went, what if I just flip over back? I can get way higher.
Yeah.
And it changed the game forever. And so that's a little bit what's happening in this movie as well at a social level, and that China actually had to do when they were facing off against continual invasion from Mongols. They're like, these guys just keep changing their tactics. We got to be fluid. Like just line, you know, and you look at Civil War and stuff, like getting in a line and marching towards people shooting us turns out to be a bad idea. Like we're going to have to hide and sneak around and, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very cool.
It's that we've talked about just archetypes, order versus chaos and structure, and it gets too ordered, too ossified, too we're just marching in a line and we're all lockstep, like we're definitely doing that, but this isn't working. We need to introduce some chaos into the midst of it, bring some fluidity, right? We're not so fluid that we're just dispersed and people run around everywhere doing all sorts of different things, because you need some organization. And so Mulan for the army is a necessary fly in the ointment that helps them discover that.
Yeah. And, you know, on the archetypal front, the order is usually personified by the father or by the masculine. Yeah. And order and chaos is usually personified, and nature personified by the feminine or the mother. And so the idea that we have to insert this feminine chaos into this scenario in order to
create the ingenuity that's coming from that. Yeah.
Yeah, which is part of why I think necessarily the movie needs to end in a marriage, you know, in a relationship, is because where do we see that more archetypally than in a husband and a wife and a family coming together, and, you know, brothers and sisters? Like life literally comes from the fact that masculine and feminine integrate. And the only hope for our future is that our kids are going to figure it out. And they only figure it out because they're the offspring of order and chaos and the masculine and feminine coming together.
Welcome to our high level nerd out, Kaitlyn.
So of course, my wife is the highly ordered one in our world. Even though she's very feminine, but she's the super ordered one. I tend to bring the chaos, but
you're the chaotic
maybe it's
artist.
like that in a lot of places, but you know, there's that mix that perpetuates. And then this was actually something that I wanted to talk about in the Robin Hood episode, and it didn't really concretize until after we recorded it. But the idea that even you know, marriage, and so in the you know, context of, you know, the Christian worldview, marriage is like an echo or a representation of, you know, Christ and humanity coming together. And that the interesting thing about the Jesus character is that he is the trickster archetype, which I never thought of growing up, because it you know, the religion is always portrayed as being so patriarchal and all this stuff. And I've always thought, well, it has Mary for one thing, but also like everyone who participates in the faith is a bride. Like the body of Christ, like the church, is consistently communicated as being the bride. And so for being a patriarchal system, its embodiment is feminine in the way that we relate to, you know, the savior figure of the, you know, of the faith or the myth, however you want to think of it. But that this Jesus character he sneaks into earth through the back door. He dresses up like a little baby. He is like the richest person that's ever existed, but he comes as like a pauper. You know, he comes in as a poor peasant, right? It's like in every way possible, he sneaks in and like inverts the order of his role. He doesn't come as a king. He comes as a peasant. He doesn't come as a god. He comes as a child, like a helpless baby that has to drink milk and poop diapers. Like it's the ultimate disguise. And then through his whole ministry, he's always saying like, hey, the last is going to be first. And like the person that wants to lead needs to serve. And like, so his whole thing is this Robin Hood, like, you know, inversion of
upside down kingdom stuff.
Upside down kingdom in order to set things right, which is ultimately what Mulan does as well. And anyway, sorry, that's my little soapbox that I'm pulling in from previous episodes.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because my pastor at our last church service he mentioned that the first person to see Jesus when he rose was a woman, and he sent her to go tell everybody that he was alive. So she was the first.
Which would have been also like, if you're trying to write propaganda, to have a woman that was an unreliable narrator. Like you would not, if you were lying in order to push a story, like having a woman do it would be like, that'd be a terrible decision if you're trying to push that thing. So like that's significant on many levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it had to be intentional, you know, like it.
Yeah.
If the characters in the story are who they say they are, then it's not like, oh, whoops, like that just worked out. That, you know, Mary was the first one there. It's like, no, I am intentionally sending my message this way with this character, with this carrier, in order to communicate that, like, hey, we're turning all this stuff upside down. Yeah.
So you know, as we come to the end, we didn't really get to villain comeuppance. What do you see with Shan Yu getting fireworks to the face on this one?
He gets blasted off the roof with the fireworks, so I feel like that's pretty good. Pretty good way to die.
Well, and isn't that funny? Because he gets defeated by a firework twice, kind of, right? Like he gets defeated by the mortar, and then he gets defeated by the firework,
it shoots him into sort of the massive other fireworks, and then they all.
Yep.
So I think it's my thought.
But see, that's it's kind of terrifying because he does get blasted off the roof, but you know he has 5 more leaders just waiting.
Sure. Yeah.
In the background.
Yeah.
I
you got one, but they'll be back.
What it made me think of was the nature of war, and if you are going to battle against an empire, he dies on top of the palace, getting blasted by a firework, which gunpowder was a symbol of Chinese power at that time. So it's almost like Mulan's the one Mulan and Mushu are setting this off, but it's the symbol of all of Chinese power and ingenuity that just like blowing him up into this spectacle that shows the glory of the Chinese empire as all the, you know, we're having this fantastical thing that's going off. And it's when you're defeated in war, that is the spectacle that your enemies get to show around that. So it to me it was as a commander of the enemy's army, that ending really fits for him.
Yeah.
And Batman
is
there.
Kind of fun way to do it.
And Batman was there.
Yeah. When Mushu like does this, yeah. Awesome.
The only thing was just the animation. I just appreciated that they used like very traditional Chinese artwork. Like the backgrounds are all very much, and even like when the dust settles, the way that they do the curlicues, that's all very, very traditional. So I appreciated that they did that. It was just really pretty.
Agreed. It was very classy and very cool.
The cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
Well,
beautiful.
Disney did such a good job of like, they're Disneyfying it. It looks like a Disney movie, but it brings in these elements of the culture with which it's from, and it doesn't feel like it's not an anime. I know it's Japanese, but like it's not doing that specific stuff. We're doing the Disney style, but we're going to bring in these elements in a way that I thought Disney, especially during this era, was always very good at incorporating these things in a way that feels accessible, but also respectful and true to the original form it comes from. It's not just like we're doing a caricature of it. We're actually doing a respectful depiction of those things, right?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, fun. Kaitlyn, this was a blast having you on again.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah, I know you brought up Brave. I think there's a lot of other like female mom-centric stories. It'd be fun to have you back on to chat more about that. So yeah, this is great. I know we've been wrapping up talk with our guests on having them share a bit of dad advice. Do you have any mom advice for us for either parents, moms, kids, as it relates to stories and adventures or whatever?
I fell asleep last night and I was like, oh, they're going to ask me this question. I need to think about it. And what I thought about was there's one thing that we have done with our kids since day one that I think has really helped, especially as a mom. And we never surprise our kids going anywhere. Like when we're in the car, we tell them exactly where they're going. And we tell them exactly how we expect them to behave. And sometimes I kind of wish people would tell me, like, you're going to work and this is how you're supposed to behave. But it's definitely taken care of a lot of like unknowns for them. They go into situations being more confident because they know what the parameters are for them.
Clear expectations. You know the drill.
Clear expectations.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks for being with us through 50 episodes, assuming every listener's heard every single episode.
That's right.
And
Go back
if you haven't, exactly. Kaitlyn, again, thanks again, and we'll see everyone next time.
Thank you for listening to Story Dads. That was Mulan, episode 50. Stay tuned next week when we're back. I don't even know what movie we're doing next. You'll find out when I find out. All right? Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And hey, tell someone about this podcast. Start up a conversation with a friend about a movie that you really like. It does not need to be a kid's movie. It can be any movie. Go see Project Hail Mary and then talk about the symbolism that you found within. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.